Hi guys, I just wanted to make a quick video on this build, which to be honest with you has become one of my favorite builds in the game. Basically, it is a really versatile build that can do many different things, and it's all around very good. Now, the thing that this build is that it's not a straight up DPS build. You're not going to be able to rival the top DPS builds out there at the moment, since, you know, there are some crazy builds at the moment that deal massive amounts of damage, whether we're talking about the Star Shot or the new bow, the monorail, or even the new Knuckles. They all deal crazy amounts of damage, and to be honest with you, this is not going to be able to rival that. Now, apart from that, you are better than that in every single other regard. This build has damage, this build has utility, it is tanky, it has support capabilities. I would just really recommend for you guys to try it out. Now, the build is pretty simple, right? So we're going with Medic and Ritualist as our classes, and what I really love about this build is the fact that it's really modular. Now, the only two things that, or three things that are mandatory are the rings, because you want to have a 80% or 75% skill cooldown, but apart from that, everything is customizable. You can play this build however you want. I do recommend the setup that I have right now if you are going to be experimenting with the build, but apart from that, it is really customizable. Now, when it comes to the things that I said were necessary, these two rings are necessary. You can replace the black pawn stamp with the Burden of the Stargazer. I do not have it, so that's why I'm running this one. But it is really good because the Burden of the Stargazer is going to actually give you the ability to sacrifice your own health, which, given that the fact that you're using Medic as your main, will mean that you are able to regenerate health and thus regenerate your relics. So that is one thing to have into consideration. If you do have the Burden of the Stargazer, definitely go for it instead of the Black Pawn Stamp. Now, the other thing that is pretty necessary is a Prism. I know that they are a pain to farm, and to be honest with you, it took me a lot of time to farm the ones that I have, but the only thing that is really mandatory is the fact that the Prism has to have a 10% skill cooldown, which, as you see, I do have, and it also needs the Unbrittled legendary effect. So this gives you a reduction of all your skill cooldowns by half. Now, you might say, okay, but the cap is at 80%, so this is pointless. No, it isn't. What is capped is the skill cooldown stat, not the cooldown of the skills themselves, which means that this passive will actually give you a minus 50% skill cooldown scalar, which will mean that your skills will be on a very low cooldown. If I go ahead and equip the Legacy Protocol just to have 80% cooldown reduction, you'll see that the cooldown on my shield is actually 10 seconds, so it's basically nothing. Now, you do not need this to be able to achieve that 80% cooldown reduction. The only thing that you need is the skill cooldown fragment, as well as the Prism skill cooldown, and then the two rings and a concoction will be enough to hit that 80% or 75% in case that you're not using the Burden of the Stargazer. Now, all in all, you might be like, okay, you do have your shield on a very low cooldown, but that is not the entire thing of the build, right? And you would be correct. The build actually deals damage by applying status effects. As you know, we are running Ritualist in the end, so that is why we're running it. And what you want to do is apply all of your status effects and then be able to nuke everything with your second skill, with the eruption skill. Now, you have several ways of doing this. It is true that I am using the Krell Axe with the Tainted Blade Mutator and the Blood Jewel ring in order to be able to apply 3 of them with one single throw, but honestly, you can basically use whatever guns you want as long as you can apply the 4 status effects. Now, other things that you can change is, as I said, these 2 ring slots are completely customizable. You can go with whatever you want. For the handgun, it is true that I would recommend the Nebula, but you can also go with something else like the Hellfire, which, to be honest with you, has a really kick-ass fire status effect. It does have crazy damage, The other thing that you could also run is the Star Shot. I know that it says 630 burning damage, but don't be confused with this. If you equip this and you have the mod to the max charges, it'll multiply that by 5. So that means that from 630, we are going to go to a 3000 burning damage in 20 seconds. So it is a pretty good... It is a pretty good DOT. As you see, we do a lot of damage with that DOT, 123 per second. So, yeah. So, as I said, apart from that, you do have these 2 ring slots to be able to be customizable. You can also customize the amulet. I would suggest either... There are 3 things that you can go for. I mean, you can go for anything that you would want, but the 3 things that I would recommend would be either the detonation trigger to be able to easily apply fire, since with the Krell Axe, the Tainted Blade Mutator, and the Blood Jewel, you're able to apply all 4 of them, since you have the DT. Basically, you just throw the Krell Axe, detonation, and then on the second detonation, you're already going to have the 4. You can also go for Energized Neck Coil. I don't recommend going for ENC if you have the Swarm the Nebula equipped, since the Swarm will constantly be proccing them, and to be honest with you, the damage on the Swarm is not really good. So if you're going to go ENC, I definitely recommend for you to change your handgun to either, as I said, the Hellfire or any other gun that you might prefer. Now, when it comes to your long gun, you do have several options. You can go with the Sparkfire shotgun, as I'm using. You can also go with the Merciless if you want to clear the Blood Jewel from your ring slot. You could also go with the Monolith. In general, the only thing that I would recommend is whatever that in one of the 2 weapons that you're going to be using, definitely use the Spellweaver Mutator. And you'd say, okay, but we already have so much cooldown reduction. Why would I do that? The thing is that, given that our cooldown reduction is so high, we can do something like this. So at the moment I have it equipped on the Sparkfire shotgun, right? So I can do something as easy as popping my shield, immediately throwing it, and having it again. So in clutch situations where one of your teammates gets caught off, you can definitely use this to just pull them out. Like, I don't think there is anything that an enemy will be able to do if you just shield them. They pop their shield, and then you shield them again. Like, the shielding and the healing that you get from that is just crazy, and as I said, I have been able to save tons of teammates in either swarm situations or boss situations, so definitely use the Spellweaver Mutator. But apart from that, as I said, the rest is pretty customizable. When it comes to the Relic, I do like going for the Reprocessed Heart, because as I said, you want to be able to sacrifice your own health to be able to regenerate it with the shield and then recharge your charges. But you can go for anything else that you might want. Suggestions might be something like the Resonating Heart, the Shielding Heart, or the Diverting Heart. You can also go with the Ruined Heart, since technically speaking it regenerates mod power faster than this one, but the thing is that it doesn't last for as long. But in general, if you do have the Burden of the Stargazer, you can definitely go for the Ruined Heart instead of this one, since it'll basically give you more mod power. Now, that is the build. If you have any questions, leave some on the comments, and I'll leave you with several fights in which I didn't perform my best, just to show you what the power of the build is. You'll see that we are able to just kill some bosses really easily, even though I'm not playing very well in those. So, just enjoy the fights, and I'll see you around.
What